did you realize that you had an exceptional gift of storytelling?
I'm in all good Lutheran humility. I'm going to steer away from exceptional, but I recognized that I loved telling stories while I was still in school. I was always writing skits, writing plays, poems. I started the Great American Novel in fourth grade, so, but I discovered film and TV actually after I graduated from college. I went to college as a playwright.
Oh, wow. Okay, so then that's really where you developed your passion for writing for
Absolutely.
television and developing that. And so your faith has played a crucial role as an artist. So tell us a little bit about your faith and how that has been important for you in your journey.
My faith is important on a number of levels. Part of it is, per the verse that you're discussing this morning, I understood from a very young age. My parents said, God has given you gifts. What are you going to do with them? And make sure that you're doing them, those things in service of Him and the people He wants you to touch. But also, my faith has sustained me. This isn't the only industry that's like this, but this industry is full of ups and downs, a lot of challenges, fabulous mountain peaks and pretty deep valleys. And Jesus walks with me, sustains me, and continues to encourage me as I go forward. And I've had a lot of people say, how can you be a Christian in Hollywood? And I actually don't understand how you can survive out here without being a Christian.
Sheryl, let me ask you to dive into that a little bit. I mean, as a showrunner, you are in charge and work with a lot of people of different ages, but I'll bet you work with a lot of young people. And sometimes we think the Christian faith isn't very welcome in the media world. What's been your experience, and what has been your experience working with young people and having a faith in God?
I enjoy and cherish the opportunity to model a loving mentorship in terms of how I like to run the show. It's very much a team. I'm delighted to be the captain of that team, but I understand I can't do any of this by myself. And that includes my faith. It includes the people who are in my life, both in front of the camera and behind the camera. So I don't make a show of what I believe and who I am. What I try to demonstrate is this is what living in my faith and using my gifts for the kingdom looks like to me. And I hope that it inspires those who are not yet of faith and encourages and strengthens those who are. We actually have a lot of people of faith on our show. And it's lovely to see groups in the crew praying together before the day starts, for the actors to be able to sit and talk about the elements of faith that are in the show and related to their own experience. As I said, I'm not trying to march around with a banner. I'm trying to walk a faithful path and encourage others to do it at the same time.
Sheryl, that's just so incredible just hearing about just on the show, there's Christians that you're praying, and that's how that impacts and influences the show. And I think a lot of times as Christians, when we hear about Hollywood, we're kind of like, ooh, we don't know what's going on there, but there's truly a faith community in Hollywood. Can you talk to us about it, just what the Christian community, that those that are working on movie sets, on film shows, what that looks like to help us gain a greater understanding of how God is really working behind the scenes and using you all?
I think that it's like any community. You're going to meet different people in different places and be surprised to recognize, oh, brothers and sisters of faith are here. There are a number of organizations in town, actually, that encourage Christians in the entertainment industry to come together. to support each other, to network with each other. So I think you would be surprised by the number of Christians in Hollywood, and a full range of denominations, styles, backgrounds, and it's wonderful. The first season of Sweet Magnolias, every writer in the room was a person of faith. I didn't seek that out. God did that. But it was a real blessing to be able to look at the show and these, as we like to call them, church-going women on the show, and know that everybody in the writer's room was comfortable enough with their own faith journey to be able to share it and pour it into the characters.
And so I'm curious to know, how do you successfully create storylines that it feels so authentic, that successfully draws in the viewer, where like when I watch, I'm like, wow, I can really connect with Maddie. And then my 14-year-old daughter can look at one of the teenagers on the show and be like, wow, like I really relate to what she's going through. How does that authenticity, that vulnerability come to be?
First of all, we were very, very lucky to be working from terrific source material. Sheryl Wood's novels that inspired the series are heartfelt and warm and approachable. And what we have done in the writer's room, as we've built on Miss Wood's work to create the serenity that you see on screen, is we've shared from our own lives and said, when I was in this situation, either the great thing about TV, there's so much wish fulfillment in it. Here's what I wish I had done, what I wish I had said. Or this was the situation and this is how it played out. When I was approached to come on to the show, we have 3 women in South Carolina, with Maddie having just gotten divorced. And I'm a woman from Virginia who had just gotten divorced. And I told the executive producer, I have some things to say. I would be happy to tell some stories here. But we have a range of ages and backgrounds and races and genders in the room. So to be able to mix our own stories, to create the stories in Serenity, always with the goal that everyone can see themselves in Serenity. We want any viewer to feel as welcome as any citizen in Serenity is. So we were always looking for the deeply emotional stories that stick with us in real life, and creating those in Serenity so that we could look at them through all the different lenses of all the different relationships and build those relationships, challenge them, encourage them, lift them up, and occasionally break them, because that happens in life too.